Have you ever seen an 80-year-old man walking with his back straight, eyes bright, and steps full of confidence, while someone half his age struggles to get out of a chair? Why is it that some people, even well into their golden years, still climb stairs, laugh with their grandchildren, and wake up each morning with energy, while others feel trapped in bodies that seem older than their years? Is it pure luck? Is it perfect genes? No, it's something far more powerful and far more controllable. What if I told you there are simple daily habits, small steps that can slow down aging and reverse many of its most painful effects? These are habits that science has quietly proven, but that most doctors rarely talk about. Not because they're secret, but because too often our healthcare focuses on treating illness, not on building strength. Today, we'll pull back the curtain on 6 golden habits that can transform how you age after 50. And I want you to listen, not with fear, but with hope. Because it's never too late to begin. No matter your age, history, or current health, these habits meet you exactly where you are. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, because in the next few minutes, you may just discover the key to walking stronger, thinking clearer, sleeping deeper, and living freer. Not someday, but starting today. Let's begin. Imagine a medicine that costs nothing, has no side effects, and works better the older you get. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? But that medicine is something you already know how to do. Walk. Let me tell you about Mr. Walter. He's 72, a retired school principal from a quiet town in Vermont. For years, Walter lived what many would call a comfortable life, gardening, reading, and spoiling his grandkids. But little by little, things started to shift. One chilly autumn morning, while walking his dog Max, he lost his balance on a patch of wet leaves. It was a minor fall, no broken bones, but it shook him deeply. His doctor told him the truth most of us don't like to hear. Walter, you're losing muscle, and your balance is declining. At first, Walter thought rest would help. Maybe I'm just getting older, he told himself. But rest only made things worse. He felt weaker. Climbing stairs left him breathless. Then his daughter gently suggested, "Dad, what if you just start walking? 20 minutes a day. That's all." Reluctantly, he tried. Within weeks, his legs felt steadier. His breathing improved. After 3 months, he walked the neighborhood loop each morning, greeting neighbors, feeling more alive than he had in years. What changed? Everything. Walking boosts circulation, strengthens the heart, and clears the lungs. Harvard studies show walking 150 minutes a week lowers heart disease risk by up to 40%. Even more surprising, it stimulates the brain, increasing creativity and sharpening memory. When you move, you're telling your body, "I'm still here, I'm still fighting." Walter's story isn't rare. It's a reminder. You don't need fancy equipment or perfect health. You only need one small step, and then another. Because every step forward is a message to your body that aging doesn't control you. You do. They say, you are what you eat. But after 50, it becomes even more true. Because every bite can either heal or slowly harm. Let me introduce you to Eleanor. She's 66, a retired nurse living in Michigan. For years, Eleanor believed she was eating just fine. Breakfast was usually a toasted bagel, lunch was often a deli sandwich, and dinner, well, whatever frozen meal was easy that evening. At first, the changes were subtle. A little more stiffness in her knees, a few extra pounds that wouldn't go away, and a growing sense of fatigue. Then came the scary part. Her doctor told her she was pre-diabetic. "I thought I was being careful," she said softly, "but I was feeding my body the wrong kind of fuel." She discovered a simple rule that changed everything. The plate rule. 70% from the earth, 30% from the sea and sky. For Eleanor, that meant filling most of her plate with colorful vegetables, leafy greens, berries, and whole grains. Foods grown from the earth, untouched by factories. The other third came from nature's finest proteins: salmon, sardines, turkey, and eggs. Eleanor lost 18 pounds within 6 months. Her blood sugar stabilized and her joint pain eased. But more than that, her mind felt sharper. "I wake up with energy again," she smiled. The science backs her up. Omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish protect the brain. Vitamin K from leafy greens strengthens bones. Polyphenols in berries fight inflammation. And stable blood sugar keeps energy steady throughout the day. What is the biggest mistake many people over 50 make? Trading convenience for nourishment. Fast food, processed snacks, sugary cereals, they don't just fill you, they inflame you. Every plate is a choice between building strength or feeding disease. And as Eleanor discovered, it's not about strict dieting or deprivation. It's about adding life back to your food and life back to your years. You can feel your muscles weaken if you stop using them, but many don't realize that your brain works the same way. Let me introduce you to Harold, 69, a retired engineer from Texas. Harold always prided himself on being sharp. Numbers, details, problem solving, they were his bread and butter. But after retirement, something unexpected happened. He started forgetting names. He misplaced his keys more often. The worst moment? Missing his granddaughter's birthday 2 years in a row. It scared me, Harold admitted. I thought, is this how it begins? Am I losing myself? But Harold's doctor offered him a different perspective. Your brain isn't broken. It's simply bored. That simple sentence changed everything. Harold began what he jokingly calls his brain gym. Each morning he reads for 20 minutes, novels, history books, even cookbooks. After breakfast he spends 15 minutes solving Sudoku and crossword puzzles. But the real fun? Harold signed up for beginner piano lessons, something he had never tried before. Within months, Harold noticed subtle but powerful changes. He felt more alert, more present, his memory improved, and even his mood lifted. The science agrees. Studies from the University of Exeter show that regular cognitive challenges can reduce dementia risk by nearly 30%. Activities like reading, puzzles, and learning a new skill keep your brain creating new pathways, a process called neuroplasticity. The mistake many people over 50 make is assuming mental decline is inevitable. But the truth? A curious brain stays alive. Just like lifting light weights preserves muscle, challenging your mind keeps it sharp. And the best part? It can be enjoyable. As Harold says with a smile, I may not be able to run like I used to, but I can still grow new brain cells, one puzzle at a time. Because growing older doesn't mean growing dull. It means staying awake to life. It's not your age that steals your independence. It's the silent loss of muscle, a thief that creeps in while you're not looking. Tell me about Linda, 75, a retired librarian from sunny California. Linda has always loved her quiet routine. Morning tea, afternoon gardening, and evenings with a good book. But one rainy afternoon, as she reached for a bowl in her kitchen cabinet, she lost her balance and fell. A simple fall. But it broke her wrist and shook her confidence even more. In the hospital, the doctor gently explained what few people hear enough. Linda, you're not weak because you're older. You're weak because you're losing muscle, a condition we call sarcopenia. But here's the good news. We can fight it. At first, Linda was hesitant. I'm not a gym person, she laughed. I've never lifted a weight in my life. But her physical therapist showed her something simple. Resistance bands, light dumbbells, chair squats, exercises she could do right at home, safely, without any fancy equipment. Linda committed to just 15 minutes a day. Within weeks, her balance improved. The stairs felt easier. Even her posture straightened. 3 months later, she was carrying her groceries again. No assistance, no fear. The science behind her recovery is powerful. After 50, we lose up to 1% of muscle mass every year if we don't actively work to preserve it. But resistance training, even simple bodyweight exercises, can reverse that trend. Studies show it lowers fall risk by up to 45%, improves bone density, and even helps regulate blood sugar. What is the biggest mistake many seniors make? Believing they're too old to build strength. The truth is, the older you are, the more you need it. As Linda says now, smiling confidently, every time I stand up from a chair without holding on to something, I feel younger. Because strength isn't about building big muscles, it's about holding on to your freedom. You can eat well, walk daily, even lift weights. But if you're doing it all alone, you may still feel something missing, something your body quietly craves. Let me introduce you to Frank and Marjorie, 80 and 77. A couple from North Carolina, married for 55 beautiful years. Their home was once filled with laughter, family dinners, and busy weekends with grandkids. However, as time passed, their children moved to different states. Visits became rare. And after Frank lost his best friend to illness, the silence in their home grew heavier. Marjorie noticed the changes first. Restless nights, rising blood pressure, and a quiet sadness that crept into her days. I didn't realize how lonely we were becoming, she whispered. Even with Frank beside me, it felt empty. That's when their daughter suggested something life-changing but straightforward. Join the local senior dance class. At first, they hesitated. We haven't danced in years, but finally agreed. And there, among new faces and soft music, something beautiful happened. They laughed again. They held hands. They reconnected, not only with others, but with themselves. The science is crystal clear. Studies from AARP and Mayo Clinic show that chronic loneliness increases early death risk by 26%. As harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, isolation raises inflammation, weakens immunity, and accelerates cognitive decline. But meaningful social interaction reverses much of this damage. A simple conversation releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, calming the heart and sharpening the mind. Laughter, eye contact, even a friendly hello from a neighbor, they're powerful medicine. The mistake many make is believing independence means isolation. But true independence includes connection, the kind that lifts your spirit and fuels your will to keep living fully. Marjorie smiles and says, "Those dance steps may be slow, but they gave us back something priceless, joy." Because while our bodies need food and movement, our hearts need people. We often think of sleep as simply resting. But after 50, sleep becomes something far more powerful. It becomes repair. Let me introduce you to Carol, 62, a retired HR manager from Oregon. For most of her life, Carol never struggled with sleep. But after menopause, things changed. She woke at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with worries. The nights grew longer, the fatigue deeper. Her doctor prescribed sleeping pills, but they left her groggy and disconnected during the day. "I felt trapped," Carol shared. "Exhausted at night, and still exhausted in the morning." That's when a close friend introduced her to building a sleep sanctuary. Not just hoping for rest, but creating the conditions for it. Carol made small but powerful changes. She turned off screens an hour before bed, dimmed the lights, and replaced late-night TV with calming music and gentle stretches. She set a fixed bedtime, even on weekends, and she made her bedroom calm, dark, and quiet. Within weeks, the difference was remarkable. Her mind settled. She woke up refreshed. Her blood pressure stabilized. Even her mood lifted. Science explains why. During deep sleep, the brain performs a nightly cleansing, flushing away toxins linked to memory loss and dementia. Hormones like cortisol and insulin balance themselves. Inflammation drops, and the body repairs muscles, tissues, and even the immune system. Poor sleep, on the other hand, accelerates aging in every system, draining energy, clouding memory, and weakening resilience. The mistake many over 50 make? Believing poor sleep is just part of aging. But it isn't. Sleep is not wasted time. It's your body's most sacred healing ritual. Carol says, "Sleep didn't just give me energy, it gave me back my days." Because while walking builds strength and food fuels your cells, sleep restores every part of you, quietly, night after night. If you're breathing, it means it's not too late. You see, aging doesn't steal your life overnight. It's quiet, subtle, like grains of sand slipping through your fingers one by one. But here's the truth no one tells you. You can close your hand and hold on. Every small habit we've talked about, Walter's morning walk, Eleanor's colorful plate, Harold's brain gym, Linda's simple strength exercises, Frank and Marjorie's dance steps, Carol's peaceful sleep, they aren't grand transformations. They're choices, daily, ordinary choices that slowly rebuild what time tries to take. You don't need perfect genes. You don't need to turn back the clock. You need to take small, consistent steps forward. Because when you walk each morning, you're telling your body, "I'm still moving." When you fill your plate with nature's food, you whisper to your cells, "I choose life." When you read, learn, and challenge your mind, you remind your brain, "You're still sharp." When you build strength, you reclaim your independence. When you connect with others, you heal your heart. And when you protect your sleep, you give your entire body the gift of restoration. This is not the end of your story. This chapter is where you finally write it your way. Strong, clear, joyful. So let me ask you, and I'd love to hear your answer. Which one of these habits will you begin today? Please share it in the comments below. Just writing it down might be your first small step. If this video touches you, please give it a like, subscribe to join our community, and share it with someone you love. because we're walking this journey together. Your best years are not behind you. They're waiting just ahead, eating what he lovingly called my daily shield. And as he watched his blood sugar stabilize and his cholesterol improve, he'd chuckle and say, "Who would have thought dessert could be part of the cure?" While fruits calmed the fire, Harold knew he needed something to strengthen his heart even further. And that's when these tiny, crunchy powerhouses came into his life. Every afternoon, Harold would reach into a small glass jar on his kitchen counter. Inside were his daily treasures, walnuts and almonds. At first glance, they seemed simple, but inside each handful was a complex blend of nutrients quietly working behind the scenes. The walnuts delivered precious omega-3 fatty acids, easing inflammation inside his arteries like a gentle oiling of old hinges. His stiff, tired vessels gradually became more flexible, allowing blood to flow smoothly. The almonds, packed with magnesium, worked on another